Last year, the town board, myself, became aware that there was an issue with response times. Some is going as long as 30 to 45 minutes or longer when the ambulance is not getting to the scene of a 911 call. Okay, so what that means is that our paramedics, our great paramedics, have to stay there till the ambulance shows up to transport the individual to the hospital, and then when that happens, if they got to stay there that long, they can't go on other calls. So it hurts the person who's being transported, and it hurts perhaps an individual who also needed paramedic assistance.
Topping the news this half hour, yesterday, as you just saw, Town of Tonawanda Supervisor Joe Eminger joined us on News 4 at 4 to talk about why the town is going to be moving forward with creating their own ambulance service. He says, as you heard, part of the reason is because of slow response times for emergencies.
Right now, Twin City Ambulance Services is at the town's main, or they are the town's main ambulatory service. But now they're calling out the town supervisor for, quote, defamatory statements about those response times. And we're joined now by their president, Terry Clark. Terry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We just heard what the supervisor, Joe Eminger, said yesterday. What is your kind of rebuttal here about response times? He said to us yesterday, 30, 45, potentially over an hour-long wait.
We've heard the same thing. Several news agencies have reported independently that there are calls over an hour. We immediately went back. We pulled up all our records for the last 12 months. Not a single one of our response times exceeded 1 hour. Something that I think the public really needs to be aware of, that 100% of our calls through the town of Tonawanda, we are dispatch cold. That's no lights and siren. We're going with traffic. We're stopping at all the lights on Sheridan Drive and Niagara Falls Boulevard. That is an initiative or an agreement that the town of Tonawanda has. If there was actually a problem with the response times, they could have fixed this with one phone call. Said, hey, going cold to these calls is not working for us anymore. Go hot. As it stands right now, initial dispatch, we are dispatch cold on all calls. They do have the option to upgrade to hot during that response. That only happens for about 3.5% of calls. So the other 96+%, we're going cold. No lights and siren to these calls, and no one has brought up any systemic problems with our response time. So it was a complete shock to me seeing that press conference and seeing that is the entire impetus behind going to creating their own ambulance service.
The claims from Joe Eminger and others are saying that they are going to establish this ambulance service, and it is going to be for 911 calls only, which they agree is a small percentage. When you break down your numbers for those versus the cold calls versus the hot calls, because their ambulance service is going to be doing the 911 hot calls, correct?
Well,
they're not going to be doing medical transports.
Well,
right? My
understanding is a first call, any calls that come through the 911 system that require an ambulance, they would be the first to respond to those calls with their paramedic unit as well as one of their own ambulances.
Right.
What happens after that? I don't know, because they have not engaged in any dialogue. We were completely out of the loop on the study that was done, and pretty much everything up until yesterday.
How did that make you feel, knowing that you believe they were moving forward with a plan, one that you believe you are an integral part of, being that you are Twin City Ambulances and you provide that to the town? They move forward with another direction. How does that make you feel? I mean, beyond obviously you're saying these facts are incorrect. How does it make you feel?
Well, it was quite a shock to us, very much a shock to our personnel, our management staff. Not something that ultimately we expected. In fact, I've even had some conversations with people that have had conversations with some of the Town of Tonawanda paramedics. Some of them were completely unaware that this was coming. This was done by a small group of people. They did not make the study public. In fact, we have a freedom of information request in right now to get that. And we're also asking for some of their data on some of these alleged long calls, particularly the ones that are over an hour that they're claiming, which is probably the most egregious of the claims that was made yesterday.
You sent us some information earlier and said the average call time is about 12 minutes.
Actually, it's less than that.
Less than that.
It's 10 minutes, 12 seconds is our average, and that's again, 96+% cold responses. So I would put that against just about any system in the country.
Got it. So now what do you want from the town supervisor? Do you want him to take his words back? Do you want him to just stop talking about it? What do we, and you guys have to kind of get along here because you're still going to be
Absolutely.
doing these services in the town.
Absolutely. So, as far as the public goes, rest assured we're going to be there for them. We're looking to get the record corrected. The statements made yesterday were absolutely outrageous, false, and they had to be aware that they were false. So we want that record corrected. We want a statement from the Town of Tonawanda basically saying, no, this wasn't true. And whether they do it or not, I think we're going to find out because we do have this information request in there, and I think they're going to have a very difficult time providing the data.
Yeah, the statement here on your screen is how Joe Eminger has responded to us this afternoon. Do you want to read that, Dave?
He says, quote, "We understand their position. The emergency care that our residents require when they need it most is and was the driving factor behind the town's decision to move forward with our own ambulance corporation." That is the statement from Town of Tonawanda Supervisor Joe Eminger. Some also have said that Twin Cities stands to lose some business in this. Obviously, we're talking about the difference between cold calls, 911 calls, hot calls, and the response time for that. But does Twin Cities stand to lose some of the business here of some of these runs? And what do you say to claims from people who say, oh, they're just upset because they're going to lose business?
Well, we don't know how this is going to impact us yet. Everything that we're learning about this really is revelations that have come out in the last 24 hours. So, we do have private business that we do in the town of Tonawanda. We take several thousand calls beyond what the town is responding to. And in Western New York, there is a very high demand for ambulance service. So, again, I can't predict what the future is going to hold here, but ultimately, I am sure there are plenty of other communities that are really looking for ambulance service, and we will adjust accordingly.
All right, Terry, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Appreciate it, Terry.
Well, thank you.